Hello, welcome back to part two. I was just sort of having a look, see how the track sort of sizes and things like that. So I'm going to have to use second and third radius. I'm not going to be able to put fourth radius on here. I did think about using some fourth radius and then going into third, and then third radius and then going into second, but even that still doesn't quite fit on these boards because I don't want to go right up to the edge, because I might want to use this section for something else yet, or even this. So I may sort of change how I've sort of joined the boards together, but I just wanted to see sort of the size. So I'm going to get all this off. The next step is really to get all these painted. So because I like to always glue the track down, you know, rather than sort of pin it or anything like that. So I like to use PVA glue, and as long as I've got the boards sort of painted, if I need to take them up, I can just wet the track, leave it to soak for a little while, and then just gently lever it up, and it comes up without damaging the board. And it's easy enough to change all your track plan as well. So, but I'm going to start to get these painted now. I've decided not to paint these outside, but I don't want all bits of debris getting on there and things like that. So I've just got some standard sort of grey paint, reasonably hard wearing, but it just seals all the boards. So when I do put PVA glue on it, it's less likely to become a problem. Then you can use acrylic paints, anything really. Right, watching somebody paint a board is really like watching it dry, so I'm going to get all these painted, and then I can start looking at how the track's going to look, really, because I'm still not 100% sure on the total track plan yet. So join me when I've got all these painted and we're all dry, which will take a little while, I think. Right, I got all the boards painted. I put them all back together, and I've just started a bit of a draft on the track plan. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go, but this is sort of a rough sketch, and you can see from here, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a fill yard at the back, because it sort of limits my space at the front of the layout here, and I'm not sure if I really need the fill yard at the back. I was just going to do 2 holding sidings, but I've only got this sort of board because I can't put the points over the edge, you know, the joints of the boards, so it doesn't give you a lot of room anyway. You probably only get a loco and 1 or 2 coaches or a few wagons, so I don't think the fill yard at the back is going to be that usable. I think it's better to have more points at this sort of side, and a very busy sort of junction here, probably some speed limit going through this junction. So, and the idea is this is your 2 main lines going through, so this obviously can go into the sidings here, and same with that one. They're going to be sort of hidden, so they look like they go across and carry on anyway. That's sort of long enough to hold a couple of locos and some wagons if I need to, and then just as it's coming across here, it will go into a traction maintenance depot just a small one. Nothing's going to be massive or anything like that, but I've got up to roughly about about 2 foot really. So I can go from there to roughly 2 foot to build a traction maintenance depot. So I think that should work. It's not going to be massive or anything like that, but I'll put another couple of points, one going across, and possibly a an engine shed, a depot shed here, refueling or something. So I've got to plan that out yet, but I just got plenty of space, I think, to do that. When it comes down to it, I'll probably go, I need more space. So, but as you can see, I'm just sort of having a look at the Pico track plan, and just seeing how I can adapt it to be a double track layout. I want it to be double track, just gives it a bit more interest, so I can run a loco around and then do a bit of shunting and things like that at the same time. And because I'm not going to have the fill yard at the back, I'm going to push this all forward, I think. So then this gives me also space here. So if this is moved back a little bit, all this, because this is a bit too close to the edge as I'm going across, but then this would be then the dock area. So the bridge will come across about here, so try and hide the joint, and then go across like that, and then I can have some industrial warehouses on the top here. It'll have a dock scene with the canal. I think that will look quite good there. And I don't know whether to put a set of points in so it comes across up to the edge of the dock, and that's yet to be decided. I'm sort of running out of track and usable points at the moment, so I don't want to. I have got some old Hornby ones, but I'm not going to be using those because I've already had problems with Hornby points. Everything's going to be Pico points. I do have quite a few, but it's a bit of a mix. So I do have some newer ones, and I've taken them all out. Taken a lot of them out and things like that. So I do have quite a bit of a mix of points to have a play with. But I want it to be as much electro frog as possible, so there is going to be a couple of set track pieces as well, and I'm also basing it on the set track distance there, so it's giving me plenty of space for going round on the curves, because obviously this is second radius and that's third radius, so you're going to have quite a bit of overhang. So I thought using it as set track step instead of streamline would give me that little bit more space. Might not look totally prototypical, but that doesn't matter, it's for me. But I'm going to carry on with trying to juggle this and get this right, and then we can come back. Right, one of the things I've definitely decided on is I'm not putting any fiddle yard at the back. I wouldn't have really enough room, so for a couple of holding sort of sidings. There's a possibility of always putting one on the inside track if I wanted to. I've moved everything up, which then will give me a little bit of room to create this dock scene. I'm going to use the scale scenes box file dock scene just in this corner here, but obviously modify it. Then we'll have the bridge going across, going like from here and then across like that up to where the viaduct will be, and then here will be sort of an embankment, and then the buildings on top, because that's all going to be like road across there, which then hides all the curve going around the layout sort of thing. So I am going to now cut the board, and I'm just trying to sort of work out that I don't want to cut too much off, but I want it to sort of look reasonable. So I think something like that. I'm just using that as a sort of a scale boat. Give me a feel of how I want it. So I think something on that sort of size. And then that gives me a nice little scene to work on. So all I've got to do is just cut this out. So I need to take the screws out first. I'm not going to so I may make it a little bit bigger. I've started some of the scale scenes buildings, so I'm just going to test those, I think. So you can see this is a work in progress. Normally the scale scenes one comes to only here, but I've sort of created another section, so I wanted it something like that. I've obviously got to create a bit more back to it to give it a bit more depth, but that's sort of the feel of where we can go with that. And I could put just a track along the front there with just some wagons, static, and that could even be a programming track then if I wanted to. So I think that would work quite nice, you know. Put the boat there, got track covered, you know, so it's in a concrete base. And let's just put a piece along there just to see. In theory, I could actually join it up to these points if I wanted to. So then that would come across all the way up to the dock scene. Makes this bridge a little bit difficult because you've got a multitude of tracks to cross. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that this is going to span across. I'm going to have pillars in between, so whether that bridge will look right there. Right, that cut out nicely. I've just taken it down 5mm, no, not 5mm, 10mm, and obviously you've got the 6mm board, and then when I put a board underneath, I've got enough to put some resin in and enough height for the boat to be on the dock. So it should then sit on the resin, give you a fairly deep feel, and the boat's about 6mm, so you'll have a reasonable looking canal there. So I need to now just fill this up. So all I did was drill a hole there, hole here, get the jigsaw, cut along, then I got my circular saw and just cut along all this front edge and just manually cut the last 2 pieces, and I think that'll be fine. Right, I've want to get the key pieces laid, which is this double curve on this first board. So once I've got all that in place, I can then start to get the track that goes over the joins all sorted. But I just need to get this fixed in place first and glued in. So as you can see, I've got the sort of a nice sized piece for the harbour there, and then those scale scene buildings will go here, and it should sort of hide sort of the curve of the where it goes off into the scenery. I've also put battens along every one of the boards now. It's about 1/3 in, so that's going to be about where the viaduct's going to sit. So that's going to give that a bit more strength. I also want to put another one sort of roughly 1/3 in here as well, but I'm going to wait until I've drilled all my holes for all the points. You know, because I just need something a little bit more strength, because these boards are quite big. It's only 6mm, so you can't just have an outer, you know, it will not be enough strength. So that's where I wanted that, and then when the viaduct sits on top of there, that's going to be sort of enough strength there. the viaduct will be a removable piece, so I'm going to do that as a 2 foot section and a 2 foot section. Sorry, 4 foot section by something like 6 inches, and another 4 foot section on the other side, so it makes the 8 foot across the span of the board then. And I think that's the only way I could do it. But I'm going to get these fixed in place. I'm using set track, and I just wanted to make sure, and I'm going to use the set track size that I said earlier, and the reason for that is it's going to give me better clearance on the curves, so I just need to make sure we've got everything done. And I'm going to put the curves in at the opposite side as well, so, and to make sure I'm going to get these exactly at the same level, I've just used my set square, and I know exactly that I go straight up to the sleepers on this section here, and as long as these are aligned, they should all join up nice. So let me just concentrate on getting all this lined up a little bit better around the back. Right, for joining the tracks together, I've got these boards. It's just double-sided copper. Didn't need double-sided, I ordered double-sided by accident. But you got 2 A4 sheets for £9.39, I think it was, from Amazon. And these are 1.5mm, so it's exactly the same as a sleeper, so it should work all right. So I'm just going to score about the same size as a sleeper. Can go a little bit bigger, it's not going to be too obvious, so probably slightly better to be a bit bigger than a bit smaller. And I just wanted to get it a nice score line, and I'm just going to then cut this with a Dremel, but be warned, it will create a lot of dust, and you don't want to be breathing this in because it's a fiberglass board, so it's not good for your health. So do this either in a where you can outside or with a mask on. Well, where your discs out, you get through a disc, a set of sleepers. So I've got, yeah, I was just saying, it does wear your disc out. I've just got my mask on there, just took it off, but that will give me sort of a right sort of size sleeper. I did wander a little bit on the middle there, but that's basically about right. So when I create those sleepers, these are going to go glued onto the board, and then I can solder these. It'll give me a nice solid sort of join on each of the boards. Normally I just cut a small piece off, and then if I damage them I can do it, but this one's going to be more of a take it apart, put it back together in quite a lot of times. Not going to be a complete permanent home for it, so I want to make sure that these are as solid as possible. So, and if I need to just move it for any reason, I'm not going to strip the track off and worry about it too much. And really, I just need to cut this into sleeper size pieces. Doesn't matter if they're slightly bigger, I don't think, but I want them to be roughly the same size, so when I paint them black it sort of blends in, you don't really notice it. And one thing that I do need to do is at least make a gap in the middle on the opposite side, because this is a double-sided board. When I ordered it I didn't realise I'd bought double-sided at the time, so if I glue that in and I leave the copper on the bottom and I get my solder and it runs down, I'm going to get a short, so I'm not going to be very happy then. So I'm definitely going to make sure I remove that section before I glue these down. But right, I've got all my sleepers that I made all glued onto the boards. I made sure I'd got the correct level, leveled them all up, just using a straight edge. Now I just need to remove some sleepers off the track. Just need to mark out which ones I need to remove. Let me double check this track first. All seems to fit. Now I am going to remove, I know I've only got the one. Okay, that's not too bad. But I'm going to remove an extra one off each side, just give me a little bit extra clearance. Give me all the clearance I need there. Just need to add some new fish plates. And that fits in nice. So all I'll need to do then is to solder the outside of the rails up, so I'll do that in a little while. I just want to get the all the rest of the track on this side, so I'm going to get the other piece in and then get them all soldered up. So I need to trim this one to the right size and then get that fitted. So let me carry on with that, and then when I come to solder it I'll show you how I'm doing that. So once these are soldered in, I will then, I'm going to get a razor saw and cut through. I'm not going to use the Dremel tool because it's going to cut it at an angle, and I don't think it'll be right, so I'm just going to use the razor saw and cut through, and it should give me a better straight line. There is obviously alternative ways you can do this. You could actually put your 2 track pieces, you know, one on, you could get them cut pre and then solder them on, but it's just getting the join perfectly straight, and if you solder it and it just slightly out, you don't want any derailment. So I think this is the easiest way. You're guaranteed that it's going to be perfectly in line. Right, just before I soldered this, I'm just going to put some weight so the track's not going to move. I don't get any errors. So I need this quite hot, so I'm going to turn the iron up a little bit more. I think 480 I think will do. And let the heat get into the rails. I don't want to touch that with my finger. But, I've got all those cut through now, so that's all gone through nice. So I'll just so let me very tight these boards together, so you can see comes apart nice and they'll line up. Quite a close fit that board. I've scratched a bit of the paint on the so I need to touch that up a little bit. The only thing I don't like is these ones on the angle, because you've got to put the sleepers straight. So I'm going to need to disguise them somehow. So maybe once I've got the ballast on, I know the bridge is going to go across here, which will sort of hide it anyway. So maybe that'll work. You know, maybe the problem is I can't really put the bridge straight across there because I've got the gap in the board. So see how well it. Right, I've got about all the tracks done. I've still got to get these on there, but I don't want to put all this on just yet until I've drilled all the holes for the points, because it's going to be almost impossible to remove all these points if I've got everything fixed. So I've not fixed everything down yet. There is also just this siding to go. This will go down by the dock side, but I can't really put that in place just yet until I've built the rest of the building, so I know what the clearance is just near the end of the dock. So that's one that will go in after, so I'm not going to do anything with that. I'm going to need to put in a board joiner on there, a couple of PCB pieces, which I've got plenty of. I cut plenty, and I'm just going to mark up. This is all about, I think I've got everything, so nothing's I'm going to need to go through all these with a fine tooth comb, make sure that there's no problems. I haven't joined those yet, but yeah, I just want to make sure that there's absolutely zero problems you know, with running over the tracks, because that could be quite embarrassing when you so I haven't joined that one properly, just sort of, oh no, I've joined it on that end but not on the other end. That was the idea. And what I've got is I've got a mixture of some new and some second hand. I know these are quite good. Obviously they're not going to be as good as new, but these are Electrofrog Streamline here, Y points. I've got some set track points here, so I've got 2 old and 2 new. But I do know that they are clean. I probably will need to give them another bit of a clean. And just on the main line here, I've got 2 new Streamline, and they're Electrofrog. So I've got the wires if I want to do the switching for the Electrofrog. And just here, this is where it's going to go across into the traction maintenance depot. So I'm going to have, so I've got plenty of space now, so I'm trying to work out how to do it, but I've got sort of 2 foot, and I'll sort of swing it around a little bit, and then when you've got the viaduct at the back, you won't look like you're just swinging out, because there's got tracks going across here. But that's about all the room that I've got to do anything. I've got some nice sidings there. I'm going to have, you know, there's quite a bit of track. There's 10 sets of points, I think, so far on the layout. Well, yeah, so there's a lot to wire up. So my next job is to get all these point holes drilled, so when I come to fit the point motors, it's going to make the job really easy, because I don't want them on the top, they need to be underneath. So that's my next job, fit these point motors. Well, not fit the point motors, sorry, just drill the holes for the point motors. That's going to be a long time before I fit point motors. And how I like to just get the point motors is I just draw a line around just where the switch part is, so I know which are the corners of the sleepers. And then I can draw a cross in the middle of there. Be nice if I got some really sharp point I could put straight in the middle there, but I don't actually have anything like that. And I've used this method loads of times. So what I've got to do is then take the points up. Seems a shame after you put all the track down, you've got to take some of it back up, and then but I'm just going to need to draw a cross, and then I can drill those up. But all the boards are able to be separated at the moment, so as I cut all the tracks, and then I've got my centre. And I'm just going to drill a 15mm hole right in the centre. I will have to tidy up the underneath of the board. It always seems to make a mess. Oh, not too bad. But, So I'm going to mark all the other points out, get them all drilled, and get all the points fitted back on, and then see what they look like. You can actually use a slightly bigger drill on double O gauge. 15mm for end gauge when I'm using that. Gives you plenty of space, but you can actually use a slightly bigger one, and if you're not that accurate at marking, then it gives you that little bit more playroom. So, but there should be plenty enough for the point motor to swing across from there. So if I line that up, I can see there's more space than I need. I could probably have got away with a slightly smaller hole, but just in case I'm not that accurate of the marking, gives me a little bit of a space to have a little bit of an error in there. So sorry, I just couldn't think of the word then, what I needed to say. So right, I've got all these holes cut now. I'm just going to sand them down a little bit just to make sure it's all smooth, and just give them a bit of a lick of paint just on the inside. Just tidy it all up really, but that all looks pretty good. I've checked the other board, so also now can work out where I need to put the battens. So on this board, obviously I need to put it sort of roughly about there. So one foot, probably, what's that, 1 and about 4 inches. So 1 foot 4 inches up the board, not quite halfway down, but I can't put it anywhere because obviously I will get a point motor in the way, but I need some extra support because I don't want to be leaning on the board and it flexing. It is only 6mm. I do it at 6mm, just keeps everything light, and even if it was like 9mm, it will still flex, and then you'd still need to put battens in, and it's even heavier when you come to move it. So 6mm is more tricky when you come to mount the point motors, because most screws seem to be 6mm, so they come through, but it'll come across to that. So I'm going to just sand these down, get them painted, get my points back on, and then see if all the holes line up 100%. I have had a quick check and they seem to. Well, this is as far as I've got now. I've got all the track joined and cut, so I can then separate the boards nice and easy. These are all really nice tight gaps as well once it's all closed. And what I've got is all the points. I've still got to secure all the track down yet, so still got to glue all that. And it's coming on. So okay, it's looks quite basic at the moment. It's just a double oval track, but there's no scenery, there's no levels at the moment or anything like that. I know I normally like to go down and up, so this is the reason why I created this small dock, so at least I've got a lower level on this layout. It is part of an industrial one, so it's not really tended to be hills and everything in this layout, you know, hills and rivers. So I think and I'm going to leave the traction maintenance depot for another project, but you've probably noticed that if I power the track up now, it's going to short out, so I'm going to just remove the inner section now, and then I'm going to start wiring really. Right, that should stop any shorting. So I've got to go around and do all the rest of them as well now. So, and then I'm going to get the track all glued down. Just why I've just cut these, just thought I'd let you know about these curves as well. And when I put all these in, it was actually ended up about here, because I sort of mirrored both sides, not sort of thinking that I needed to bring it nearer this way, because I'm using the points to sort of give it a bit of a flow around the layout. So this is now third radius going into a second radius, and this is fourth radius going into third. And that one was, I don't have any fourth radius curves to hand, so I just used some flexi track. Didn't have any track setters. I just used the gauges and set it, put some weights on, and then glued it down, and then soldered it, and it seemed to be quite a nice curve. So it actually looks exactly the same. So I did quite a good job there. Perhaps I really do need to buy a set of track setters. Right, I do think this is as far as I can go tonight. I've basically run out of time. This is Friday night. I want to get the video processed and get it up online. It's the week just flies by. I've been working on it all this week, trying to get all this track down. So obviously you can see some progress. I've not got all the track down, I know that, and I've got a project for the traction maintenance depot. I've got a project for the canal scene, and I've got a big project on wiring. I'm not looking forward to that. It's one of the ones that I really hate the most, but I'm actually quite pleased in how these joints have gone. The only thing I'm not pleased about is centre my board, the two boards. This board's fantastic, got a really tight gap. This board, right in the centre as well, where you see it more than anything. It's like, it's reasonable. So I need to work out how to tidy that gap up a little bit more. I don't know how I ended up with, because the actual dowels and everything are really tight. It's just the top boards on the top of the baseboard. So I know the majority of it will be hidden with scenery, and the majority of it will be hidden with the ballast and things like that. So I'm not too worried. It's just that I got a fantastic joint there, fantastic joint here. And the one that you actually see the most is, right, you know, not the best, but seems to be like that. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching this episode, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one, and we'll get some, I would like to say, some trains tested on the layout and some running. I mean, at the moment it looks a bit like just a double oval that anybody would put together, you know, so I don't want it to end up like that, you know, so, but yeah, like I always seem to do this, you know, just waffle on, and it's like, but I wish you a very good evening, a very good rest of the day, wherever you are, you know, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Take care.